The Royals lose 5-0. Cardinals beat the Cubs 11-3 in a doubleheader of 2. Last night to the Cubs 5-1. And tomorrow the Cubs and Cardinals will go at it again. That game begins at 1:15. Jameson Tomlin will go for the Cubs. Miles Velasquez will go for the Cardinals. And it'll be the Royals and Red Sox in the rubber match of the series. Brady Singer will get the mound for the Royals, and Brian Bello will get the mound for the Red Sox. 12:35. With Mizzou having high expectations this season, can Missouri meet those high expectations? With them finishing in the top 10 last year, they have more expectations than they have had in a long time. In 10 years plus, probably. Maybe, 10 years plus at least. They have not been this highly ranked. Curtis Seabolt, with the new 12-team playoff in college football from Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City, ESPN affiliate, asked if you think Mizzou will make the playoffs, and he says Mizzou has a bright future. We answer another question about the Chiefs. In Kansas City Sports Network, Ken Swanson says he thinks Patrick Mahomes has best roster ever. I think it's at least since 2019. I agree with they could three-peat, and if I had to pick a team, I would pick the Chiefs. But there's 31 other teams that can win a Super Bowl, so I'd have to take the field. But if I get to, maybe I'll put 100 on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and I'll receive 550. That's pretty good odds, I would say. Go Chiefs, go! Here's Ken Swanson.
Holiday weekend does not end without final thoughts from our panelists here on Sunday Sound Off, and we'll start with you, Ken Swanson.
Well, let's sneak a little Chiefs in here real quick before we get out of here. Look, I think this winds up being the best roster that Patrick Mahomes has played with in his NFL career to this point. Look, they kept the band together from the two-time Super Bowl champions largely, and they've brought in some receiver help. I think by the end of November, when Charles Omenihu's back, we don't know about the Rashee Rice situation, but we can at least assume he'll be around in November, even if he's suspended at the beginning of the year. Man, look at that roster. Look at the receivers that they have. The offense should be back clicking, and they have all the key pieces on the defense. This could be the best roster in Chiefs history with Patrick Mahomes.
To make friends. Popcorn reading, which is where you're reading out loud, is hard for everybody. Yes, it's hard for dyslexic kids, but people will understand, hopefully. And if they don't, tell them what it is. That's what my approach would be. Ross Chairman talks about that here. People calling you stupid never feels good. And that's why you don't do it. Don't make fun of people because they're stupid. It just makes you worse. He talks about that video here as well. Some kids just are bullies, and they just don't understand it. And they don't take the time to understand it. Well, in life, people are lazy. They don't take time to understand it, and that's where the bullies come from. The people that just don't want to do it. That's really all it is. And you'll associate the people with people who do want to do it. Making fun of them sounds like a theme. Well, don't make fun of people. Take time to do your research, and trust me, it will make you come kinder. That's how I did my podcast, and from that day on, it's made me become a better person. Like always, let the kids that understand you, bring them into your world. There's always a bright spot to kids. Like all places, associate people with the right people who try to understand what's going on in other people's world. Because guess what? Every person has something going on in their world. Kosi Waltz says that he had a helper like you may see the elementary. They have helpers. He says the other kids have helpers. He says it's not a problem The other kids that have learning disabilities also ask for help. It's always best to ask for help, so maybe the kids follow along and ask for help. I'm sure she doesn't mind helping other people. One way of doing something is when you're taking a test, tell them what it is. Tell them how it is. Tell them why you take the test there. Because then they'll realize they get a quiet room for a reason. And just test them when they're making fun of you. It actually works out. But if they're mean enough and if they deserve to be told on, you'll tell on them. That's what you do. And if they're mean, don't talk to them. Ignore them. I know that's hard to do, but that's what I would do. And looking back at it, that's what I do when people are mean to me. And if they don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And if you don't feel comfortable talking with somebody, don't talk with them. Be open about things. I tend to agree with more what Ross has said in this thing. Be open. And if they judge you, they judge you. A person judges you no matter what, good or bad. Always tries to be the positive one and look towards the bright spot. Of course, Walt says, do it in a positive way. Try to help the way you want. I have plenty of disabilities, and that's why I do this podcast. It teaches me to treat people the right way.
I think my LD probably caused me to have trouble with my friends in the beginning in elementary school, mostly because I couldn't read, and popcorn reading is very popular in the elementary school. So I was shy. I didn't really want to talk to people because, I couldn't really read at all.
I think a lot of people sort of don't really know what it is and are sort of confused if it's an intellectual disability. Also, I was taken out of classes often and put in smaller classroom where there wasn't a lot of people. And so sort of making friends with only a small group of people wasn't very, it was sort of restricting. And so that was a struggle, trying to make friends in a classroom I didn't have a lot of people with.
I don't believe my LD made it a problem for me making friends. I'm always a good people person. I like meeting new people, so my LD never made it hard to communicate with people. So I was always had new friends every time I was around people.
Kids at school in elementary school during popcorn reading would make fun of me as like, hey, what's wrong with you? Are you stupid? You can't read. That was probably one of the hardest times.
A lot of people sort of were standoffish and didn't want to offend me and didn't know how to respond to it. Some kids made fun of me because I was an intellectual thing and called me stupid. But there were also a lot of other kids who are very loving and understanding, and you just have to find that balance, what kind of people you want to associate yourself with and what kind of people are going to lift you up.
Other people in school responded to my LD. I don't know if they exactly know, but sometimes, depending on what class I am, I have in-class support. So if the lady, yes, it's always been a lady. If the lady came into the classroom, they know that she was with me or someone else in the room, and it was never a problem. It's just because if they needed help, they'd ask her for help too. So it was just never a real problem.